Hello everyone, Natalie here, and today I'm going to be talking about the female menstrual cycle and why we get food cravings during that time of month, and a little bit about what happens with the body and what we can do to kind of help ease some of those symptoms. So this talk is definitely for the ladies. Men, you're welcome to listen if you want to, but this is something specifically for the women. So I'm sure most of you women know a little bit of the basics about your menstrual cycle. The start of your cycle is the day you start your period. So that's day one, and for most women, it's about a 28-day cycle that goes through about halfway is when you ovulate. That's when the eggs are released out of your uterus. You're fertile for a few days where you can actually become pregnant, and then the eggs die off. And you start that cycle again every 28 days. So I'm sure most of you have felt that usually around the week before we have a tendency to get some crazy food cravings. I know for myself, I tend to crave a lot of carbs, a lot of cheese, a lot of sugar, and you just want to eat everything, right? So to understand a little bit about why that is, it actually does have to do with your cycle. So our estrogen and progesterone levels change during our cycle. When we're actually on our period, our levels are at the lowest. So progesterone, estrogen, those are your female hormones. Men have a portion of those too. We just have, as females, a higher level of those. But during your period, they're at their lowest. They start to rise up and peak in the middle of your cycle at your ovulation. And that's when the eggs are released, or egg. Sometimes two. That's where you can have twins. And then your estrogen lowers again, and it peaks. It actually has two peaks, and then drops off right before your period starts. So there's a little bit of a cycle that kind of happens. Two peaks of your hormone levels during a 28-day period, or your cycle may be a little longer or shorter, whatever your average is. And those hormones can change a lot in our body. So I think this is one of the reasons why us as women also struggle a lot with our diet. It's really tough to eat the same ratios of food every day when your hormones are changing all the time, because it's going to influence how your body feels and what you're going to crave. So a couple of things to think about is there's a few things that happen the week prior to the beginning of your cycle. We actually have a drop in serotonin levels. So eating things that are sugary, carbs, cheese, those also are a way for us to kind of self-medicate. So we crave a lot of these things because serotonin is what creates that happy feeling, right? So when our mood drops, we try to unconsciously fuel ourselves with something that's going to make us feel better. And the easiest way to do that is through food. So the serotonin level drop, typically the week prior to our period, is what causes a lot of the food cravings that we have a tendency to get. We're trying to fill this void and create a temporary feeling of happiness. We crave the chocolate, we crave the the mac and cheese, whatever it is that you tend to crave. Another thing that happens during that week prior is that your metabolism actually increases the week prior to your cycle. So you're burning more calories at rest, which means you're going to need a few more calories in order to keep your weight even. So that combination, a lot of times we end up eating more calories than we should, especially if we just go with our food cravings and eat whatever we want and we're not really thinking about it. The third thing that happens is that week prior to your cycle, you also actually thin out the mucus in your body. So you have less mucus sitting in your sinuses and less mucus in your vagina. And so what happens is it allows you to have a higher sense of smell, because that mucus is not getting in the way anymore. So food smells better. You walk by a restaurant, a bakery, everything makes you feel like you want to eat more. So this is where a lot of our food cravings actually come from when it's cycle related. It comes from the thinning of the mucus lining, it comes from the increased metabolism, and then also from that serotonin drop in our bodies. So the hormone levels start to shift and we start to self-medicate. So a couple things to think about is just being aware of your cycle and when these things are happening. Eating a higher amount of protein during that week prior to your cycle will not only help with anemia as we start to shed blood during our period, but it will also help to even out your energy level. So just increasing a little bit of protein or making sure you're getting some consistent protein those days will help prevent a lot of spikes and drops in your emotions because of your shift in your diet. A couple other things to think about that you might not be aware of is your salt intake. So salt, actually, we want to have a higher amount of salt right after our period up to ovulation so that it helps to dry the body and it actually helps to release the eggs during ovulation. And then halfway through your cycle after you ovulate, going right up to your period, you actually want to decrease the amount of salt in your diet. Salt is essential. We all need it in our diet. We need, good quality salts like sea salts and Himalayan salts, but you actually want to decrease right up to your period. It'll actually help reduce the amount of bloating you have up to and during your period. It'll help reduce a lot of the symptoms that you might be getting. But that's just, a little bit of a tip in case you didn't know it. Sometimes it's hard to track this and, we kind of go through our day and forget about it. But if you can start to notice these differences and track your period, maybe look on a week-to-week basis where you're at so that you're able to change your dietary needs a little bit. I notice for myself when I take care of these things and I eat really healthy, the week prior to my cycle starting, it makes a huge difference. I have a lot less symptoms. I end up having less bloating, less headaches, less cramping symptoms. So all of those things can really make a big difference for you. You can also increase or start taking magnesium the week prior to your cycle as well, just to help balance your mood, your energy, and keep you a little bit calmer. B vitamins and B2 and B12 in particular are really great prior to your cycle as well, just to kind of keep you a little more even, help balance out your emotions. And diet is super, super important in helping you to balance everything that we experience during your cycle. So we go through a lot. Every day our hormones are shifting from day to day. We never have a day throughout the month where it's the same hormone levels from one day to the next. But hey, that's one of the wonderful things about being a woman, right? Lots to deal with. So I hope this was helpful for you, just to give you some tips on, how to start to balance your energy level a little bit, how to be a little more aware of what's going on during the month so that you can help control your diet a little bit better. And, let me know what you thought of this. Please share this if this was helpful for you. And hopefully these tips and tricks will not only help you, but all of your girlfriends around you. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.